morning, everybody. My name is Summer.
I'm Marquita.
I'm Johnny.
And welcome to My Sister's Crown. How's everybody doing?
We're good.
Tired.
Long day.
It's
Finally.
the first of the month. I'm tired.
Hey. Finally, our first episode. As I've shared with you ladies, this is something I've been thinking about doing, and I love that I have two beautiful women of color with me to kind of start this podcast, start this web series where we can give our unique perspectives about, different things in the world. I'm excited to share with all of you guys different things, giving different ways of thinking, encouraging each other along the way, especially we as women. We need to make sure that we are uplifting one another and sharing our knowledge and doing something. Here, come along with me. Let's do it together. Let's keep it moving forward. So
Yes, absolutely.
let's start this off with this week's hot tea. So this week, there's a couple things. First things I wanted to talk about this week was the Kentucky voter suppression. So voter suppression is not something new. It's something that has historically been done in America. I mean, throughout the world, to make sure that dictators and very evil people are keeping their hold on power. So through methods of intimidation, through making things unavailable to people who aren't necessarily in the best financial situation, voter suppression has helped keep a certain type of people in power. And was a social media hashtag called All Eyes on Kentucky. And I wanted to hear what you guys heard about that this week. Did anybody hear about it this week?
I did a little. That's the one thing I haven't really done much research into. However, I did see a lot of people sharing and retweeting and regrabbing videos of them locking the doors and saying, that's it, voting's done. I'm like, it's still daylight. How are you done?
Yeah, I didn't do too much research. I saw some things on Instagram. I saw the hashtag, but I don't really know too much about it. But I did the same things that Chandini saw. I saw those as well.
Yeah. So I knew about it because as I think you guys both said, social media kind of started pushing it, and a lot of celebrities were talking about it. So Tracee Ellis Ross, my idol, she posted. It was, I think a lot of celebrities did it. It was hashtag all eyes on Kentucky. And I'll post the clip so everybody can see it, or the photo so everybody can see it. It says in 2018 election, in the 2018 election, there were 3,200 polling places statewide in Kentucky. This Tuesday, that last Tuesday, there will be 200 polling places statewide. And while this is probably due to coronavirus, or they're using that as an excuse, it's still, that's a lot. That's a big shift down. Like I said, half of the Black population of Kentucky live in Jefferson County. There are 60,000 registered voters in Jefferson County, 60,000. And there's one polling place.
Wow.
So to me, that's an obvious form of trying to make sure that Black people don't get a say. I wish, I was thinking, like, what creative ways could have people like done something to make it so that we all push to, go, the people in Kentucky went down there and voted, and that, crowd that one polling place. If y'all want 600,000 people to vote at one place, let's make it so. I would have liked to see maybe a concert outside that polling place, some food trucks, something to make it comfortable outside there, obviously social distancing style, but to make it so that, all right, you really gonna
want to go.
Yeah.
Like, all right, there's going to be some music, there's going to be some food. I don't mind waiting in line for almost 10 plus hours to get my voice heard.
Yeah. And
anything else that long.
Yeah.
Wait in line to vote.
So, and a lot of places actually, your job has to give you time off in order to go vote.
Oh yeah.
So if it was going to take all day, it was going to take all day. People actually have been arguing about, I've heard this before, about a more subtle form of voter suppression when it comes to IDs. Now, for me, I've had an ID since I was 17 because I've always had a driver's license. But a driver's license. So not having a form of ID just never really occurred to me. You know, for instance, people in like New York where you don't really need one. You know, you don't really need a driver's license to live your life, to go places. So there's so many people, or it seems like there's so many people that I would, you know, that I actually would imagine that seem to don't have forms of identification. Unfortunately, I don't know the rate, but that obviously I think has something to do with income-based, you know, resource-based, you know.
Education also.
Yeah.
To realize that having a state ID, something is important with your name on it.
Yeah. Yeah. While the internet is a beautiful thing, but if you don't even know to go look for certain things, you just won't know. So
it's like out of sight, out of mind. I've been going so long without an ID. What do I need one for now?
Yeah, I know plenty of people who don't have an ID and they don't
really
have a problem with it. They don't think they need one for any type of reason.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly like you said, if you've been going so long without having one, why would you need one now? And to say that we need you need an ID a month or two before an election happens, you know, during a pandemic.
The DMV's closed.
The DMV's closed. So how are people supposed to get it? How in the world are people supposed to get these IDs? But I think there definitely needs to be a push. You know, there's non-driver IDs out there. It is, you know, important to have some type of form of identification, especially, you know, it is a good thing to have, you know, when it comes to taking tests. I just got done taking a test and I needed to show my ID and, you know, I had some type of valid government issued identification. So,
yep.
I hope if you don't have an ID, please do your best to try to get one. I believe it's a necessity, or it's at least very important, especially in this day and age, to get one. So that was what. Anybody else have anything about voter suppression?
Just go vote.
If you really want change, you really got to make your voice heard. Just go vote. So I understand the power of social media is much more bigger sometimes in some cases, but if you really, really want your voice heard, you really got to put in that effort. Go after work, go before school, like just go vote. It's like a few minutes out of your day, a few hours out of your day to make a big change.
A lot of people feel like they don't have a voice though. They feel like, you know.
Yeah, so people say my vote doesn't matter.
Yeah, what is my vote really going to do? Nothing's going to change, you know. I understand that, but you know, you got to start somewhere. You know, you have to start somewhere. You just can't sit back and do nothing, absolutely nothing. You got to start somewhere. So just go vote.
Yeah. I think next year I'm going to really try to make a push for Keenan and I to become a little bit more involved in our local government. Going to town council meetings, going to city council meetings, county meetings, whatever. I
actually went to one.
How was
it? Really interesting to see the community you live in. Everyone comes together. You meet people that you didn't know live in your neighborhood. Because one that I went to was a few years ago. It was about putting lights in one of the parks, and everyone in my neighborhood was pissed because they said those lights are going to be really bright. If you're playing soccer games or lacrosse games at that park, it's going to be loud, number one. If you're going to have games going on all night, like people got to go to work in the morning. So everyone put their 2 cents in and voted that those lights will be turned off at a certain time. So 9 o'clock is the cutoff time. Like you have to turn the lights off. So it was just interesting to see like everyone's opinions, and it was just cool.
I've never been to one, but I'd like to.
I want to go because I love parks and recreation, and they seem,
oh yeah, I know.
They seem very fun. Oh my God, they seem so much fun. I want to go.
Let me tell you, I'm complaining about the new construction doing on Chapel right now on Chapel Ave. This shit fucking sucks. Like aesthetically, I understand it's gonna look pleasing, but to me, it just feels like a nuisance. Like, I get it. So like, this is where money's going towards. All right.
You know,
not all the potholes and the roads they need to fix, but for aesthetics. I got it.
Become like Haddonfield. That's what they're trying to do. Trying to become like Haddonfield. They're trying to do that road like they did it in Springdale. And I remember, I remember how annoying it was driving down Springdale and them doing that construction. It was the worst. And now I guess they're doing the same thing on Chapel. I mean, at least they're doing it during a pandemic where ain't nobody really doing much.
I know. So they're doing it kind of similar to what, like you said, Springdale. Same thing on Grove Street, and now Chapel's going to become similar too.
So, I encourage everybody to go and, do your local, join your local government, be a part of it, hear your voice, because your local government actually affects your life a lot more than the federal government. And I think it's very important to make sure your voice is heard at the local and state levels. Depending on the state you live in, your officials, your mayor, your sheriff, your commissioner can be either voted in or appointed by the mayor. So making sure you're voting in the mayoral elections is extremely important. Town council, having your town council vote on certain issues, they vote on these issues and they don't necessarily get everything checked by the citizens, whether we agree or disagree, or to things, trash day to fines for minuscule things. So I encourage everybody to please we really want to make a change, and we want to yell about, there's only 2 choices for president. That's fine. It is what it is. But, we have a say in what affects.
We have more say up in local.
As you can see right now, our governors are more powerful and have more effect on what we're doing locally than the president himself. Shout out to Governor Phil Murphy. I love you. Thank you.
Same.
Oh my gosh. And that brings me to my next point. The coronavirus. Oh, corona. All right, ladies. So, coronavirus.
Corona.
How's everybody doing with the pandemic? Everybody's family? Has anyone's family been affected or anything like that?
Not necessarily affected. It's a little hard to talk about. My grandma has been in and out of the hospital for the past 3 months. So she had a pacemaker put in about 3 weeks ago. We don't know why yet. She's still having breathing problems. She had already, I think, 3 to 4 coronavirus tests now. Thankfully, they all came back negative. But I just can't imagine my cute little abuelita having something shoved in her nose for that test. It just sucks. And then, she lives in Florida, so I can't even fathom being in the hospital there, even going to visit, to put yourself and everyone at risk, or to even be exposed. So it's just a little nervous, but just keep praying, making sure she'll be all right.
Sorry about that, Shannon.
That's awful.
Yeah.
That's really awful. I'm sorry to hear that. Marquito, your family?
Thankfully, none of my family has been, affected by the coronavirus, health-wise. Everyone's pretty good on my side,
Yeah.
Well.
And then I worry about some of our families work in the medical field too.
Yeah.
So it's always something in the back burner, because I feel like if every day we're thinking about it, we're gonna make ourselves go crazy. We know our family is taking the proper precautions, but it's always in the back of our mind, God forbid, what if this is the day something may happen?
Yeah. My mom did have to self-quarantine for a couple months back, because a friend that she works with tested positive for it. And my mom had coffee with her that morning, So she found out afterwards, after she had coffee with her, that her friend had tested positive. So she had to self-quarantine for a little. That was pretty scary.
Yeah. You okay?
Yeah, her friend is fine. Her friend is fine, and my mom is fine. So, but I completely understand. Having family that works in the medical field, they're surrounded by it every day.
Yeah.
So that can be a little frightening.
Yeah. My sister is a nurse, and she works in a nursing home, and so nursing homes were hit pretty hard because, as you know, everybody is so close, things are so confined, equipment gets reused. Sometimes people don't necessarily practice the most sanitary method. So she actually has respiratory issues. So it was pretty nerve-wracking for her, especially working in a nursing home. But she was lucky enough, she went and got a doctor's note, and they told her she couldn't work with any coronavirus patients. So that was a blessing. And for you guys, why I was shouting out Governor Wolf is because of this chart that I will show you ladies right now. So according to this chart, as you guys can see, the spikes 50% plus in certain areas. So what's those states? Florida, Louisiana, Mississippi, Georgia. I think that's Kansas, New Mexico, Nevada, and oh my God, is that Idaho? What are y'all doing out in Idaho? Oh my God. Okay. All right. Then it looks like California.
Wear a mask. It's my right. It's my constitutional right. I don't gotta wear a mask.
So Virginia, Maryland looks to be pretty normal, and in the green, ours have been going down. Ours have dropped. As you can see, our beautiful state of New Jersey, which people love to make fun of. Look at it. It's right there. Nice and clean and safe and beautiful. Yep. And beautiful. Look at y'all, Philly.
So wait, New York was also added to that as well. So New York's one of them. Yeah.
Okay. Well, shout out to my New York brethren. We are shout out to Andrew and Cuomo. We trust. Amen. Amen.
I will take money out of my 401k and put it towards Cuomo if he does decide to run for president. Take all my monies.
Yeah. Everyone's saying that. They're like, why won't he just run for president? But he doesn't want to.
He's not ready. He said he's not ready yet.
He's like,
they said the most New York thing ever. He is so New York. He was like, he had a mask on. He was like, this is a mask. And then he pulled it down because people have been wearing it not over.
Oh, I know.
It was like, this is a chin strap.
Yep.
I was dead. He's for, he was like, I'm for the protesters. And then he was able to name off several instances of disenfranchised Black people, killed Black people who've been killed by police brutality. He was able to name them. He was like, I'm with the protesters. I'm with him. Shout out to him. He is handsome and old.
He's a handsome man.
I love how him and his brother go back and forth.
Yeah.
I think it's so
cute. The Q-tip one had me.
So cute.
I like their banter back and forth because it reminds me of me and my sister when we bust each other's balls all the time. So I like it.
Yeah. Q-tip took me out. That thing was humongous. Woo!
Did you guys see the picture of someone on a plane and their mask was like all the way up here? They were like, this is why the coronavirus just keeps spreading. Because people are on a plane sleep with the mask up here, like on their eyes.
So you're wearing an eye mask to go to sleep?
Oh my goodness.
You can wear both. You can wear the face mask and the eye mask to cover so you can go to sleep.
Oh, like people just don't learn.
Like I've been seeing so many videos of people recording Karens and Kevins being mad because they're getting called out.
Oh my God.
They're getting called out because they're not wearing a mask in the store. There was a few of them like down south where this one girl was throwing her shit everywhere. She was in Walmart.
Yeah.
She was like, you put this shit back yourself. Then she was like, fuck your mask and fuck your democracy. She was like, you're a Democrat, blah, blah, blah. I was like, just shut up. Wear the mask. Like,
what it all comes down to, people do not like being told what to do.
It could
No, this is the problem with America. There's too much individualism. Look at every other country. We're supposed to be the number one country. We're the United States of America. We're America. We're supposed to be number one when it comes to technology, number one when it comes to everything. But we're the laughing stock to every fucking country. Like, to be quite honest, if I were to go out of this country, I'm not telling you I'm from America. I'm Canadian.
They don't like us.
I'm Canadian. I'm not American. Mm-mm. I'm from Toronto.
Not gonna rep your set.
Says he's from he says it all the time.
It's embarrassing. Like we claim that we are the greatest country out of everyone, but we're the only ones that can't get our shit together when it comes to coronavirus. The stimulus money that we got, 1,200 is supposed to hold us over for what? It's been 4 months now?
Yeah.
Right.
And every other country has been getting money either monthly, every 2 weeks, or more money than what we've gotten. 1,200 isn't really going to do much for someone, let's say, for example, that's in bartending, that has rent to pay, might have kids. They're not working right now. Yeah, 1,200 is really going to take them a long way, especially when our unemployment isn't really where it's supposed to be, because there's still people that I know that haven't gotten unemployment. I have some friends that are union workers that haven't gotten unemployment, and they're relying on their girlfriends or their wives to help them with the household.
Yeah.
So I don't know, it's an embarrassing time to say that you're an American right now. Like, don't get me wrong, I love our country. I love a lot of things about our country, but there's still a lot of work that we need to do.
Yeah.
We can love our, just like we love our friends and we love our family, but we want them to be better. You know, we're allowed to criticize our country. We're allowed to tell people, you know, if we love them and, you know, say, hey, let's do this better. Let's get our stuff together. Some people take criticizing America as you're not patriotic. No, it's I see something that's not being right, just like I see a loved one that's not acting right. I'm gonna say something. If I didn't care about it, I just wouldn't say nothing. If I didn't care about it, I wouldn't say nothing. So absolutely, I do agree. We aren't where we need to be. We can absolutely be better. We should have been on top of this. We should have been.
It was a joke back in January, so it was a hoax. It wasn't real.
It was a hoax, and that's what you know. Any other words about coronavirus?
I know all of us, because we're all working. I'm so tired of all the different policy changes. Like, there's like 37 different ones always coming out every day, like changes. I'm tired. Like, I don't remember them all now. There's just way too many different ones. It's either like, because I work in the finance world, so we were supposed to open up to the public this Monday. Now we're not opening anymore because every other state was getting really bad. So company-wide, we were like, okay, let's take a step back, reassess the situation, and indefinitely we were supposed to stay closed until Labor Day. That's September.
Yeah.
That's the entire summer. So now, fast forward to today, I find out in a few weeks we're gonna reopen again. So I'm not gonna stress myself. I'm not gonna be like, all right, I'm gonna get nervous. Come a few weeks, we're gonna open. People are gonna be allowed to come in, because things keep changing.
Yeah, they keep changing.
I'm not gonna work myself up.
Yeah.
So I know probably with the same thing with you guys. A lot of things keep changing. They say one thing and then it's like, okay, whoa, we're gonna do this now. So
I do know, like, shout out to everyone who is trying to find a job right now in the midst of all of this. It's very discouraging. You know, even with me, you know, just graduating and trying to get out there in the workforce, everyone's on a hiring freeze right now. You know, so you can't even, you know, you want a job, you know, you really want to get out there, but you can't. You know, a lot of people that are in my shoes, you know, it can really be discouraging because, again, you want to get out there. You want to, you know, you want to have a career, you want to work. But this whole pandemic is just really just putting a pause on everything. So everybody keep your head up.
There are better days ahead, that's for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
To talk about on the hot tea, getting a little spicier, is August Alsina's interview. Now, I haven't watched.
I haven't either.
I haven't watched it. You did? Okay. Marquita, what did you think? I didn't get a chance to watch the whole thing, but what did you think?
Okay, so from watching it, like we were talking about earlier, I do believe that he was sincere in what he was saying.
Yeah.
I don't think that anyone would just lie, just flat out lie about having a relationship with someone's wife.
Yeah.
I do know that Jada and Will have been pretty open about having an open marriage, I guess, or they call themselves like life partners or something like that, some type of partnership.
Married, they say they're life
partners. Yeah. I'm not sure if they were, sexually involved, but I do believe that there was some type of emotional and romantic involvement with one another. They were definitely more involved than they should have been,
You're in a monogamous relationship.
Yes, but I think that from his interview and what he was saying, I think that he was pretty sincere. He said something like, if I were to die today, I would be okay knowing that I loved someone because I truly loved her and gave my all to her. When he said that, I was like, well, that's something I would say about my husband.
Woo!
So I was just like, wow, but everybody views marriage differently, everybody does things differently. So I don't know, but I do believe that they messed around for some time.
Messed around. No. Okay. So what I was telling my husband was, I think there was definitely a level of intimacy that I would only feel comfortable with having with my husband.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whether that was just, waking up in the morning, talking every day, going on trips every day, going on trips with each other. They was always around, that type of intimacy.
Yeah.
Now it's to say, I mean, I don't like to speak on anybody's bedroom, but am I going to say, I don't believe that there was like any type of sexual, like probably maybe some kissing. It seemed like there was that, but do I think that Jada had sex with August? I don't see that. I just don't see that, and I don't really see. While Will Smith seems pretty secure in his relationship with Jada now, I don't really see any grown man having another conversation with another grown man and saying, "Oh, it's absolutely okay that you sleep with the mother of my children and my wife." Now when we're talking about companionship and finding somebody to laugh with and the joy with, because say you're not getting along with your spouse right now or you're kind of bored, whatever. That's between Will and Jada. That's their bond. That's their relationship. Whatever they do, whatever they feel comfortable with, they should do. And when it comes to those things, I feel like what it seems like for people who have those things and they call it successful, there are rules. I think T.I. and Tiny actually kind of established that too. There are rules, when T.I. was cheating on Tiny and Tiny kind of like knew about it. The only time she ever got upset about it seemed to be when the girl was acting emboldened and felt like being public. And I remember Tiny saying something like, she need to understand her place. And meaning like you're putting yourself in a role, you've decided to sleep with a married man. You need to understand, like, if you want to continue that, you can't just be all out here acting all willy-nilly. So I feel like for them, they do have a level of trust, it seems, between the both of them that is completely unheard of. Like going on, when they did that interview with just the two of them talking about their marriage, I think it was like 3 parts or something. They talked about how he used to go on vacations with his oldest, Trey, and his ex-wife without Jada. Mm-hmm. Because he wanted Trey to just be with his parents.
Yeah.
And Jada, according to Jada and them, they seemed they were okay with it. And even today, she's saying, I was okay with it. Mm-hmm. Like, I was fine with it. And that's a level of trust the very few women what I think would be, okay with. Even my parents, who did a very good job of co-mingling with my stepdad, my mother, and my father. I don't see my mother and my father taking me on a trip somewhere without my stepfather being there. Yeah. I just don't see that.
I don't think that I'd be able to do that.
Either.
Like if I was in that position and, my ex and I had a kid together, I would want my husband there, because how I look at it is, to love me is to love all of me, so my husband will have to be there. He's a part of this, not saying that what other people, decide to do, is wrong. But for me, I know that I would personally have a problem with that. I just couldn't do it.
I don't think I would feel comfortable either, because I know all of us were really secure within ourselves. But when it comes to something like that, it's everyone has a right to their opinion. Everyone has the right to dictate what happens in their own relationship. But I know I can speak confidently for all three of us, we wouldn't feel comfortable with that. We, especially like if I had a child and I were to go on vacation with my ex and just leave my husband at home, it just feels a little weird. Yeah. Like I would want my husband and my ex, so everyone to come together and go out wherever we choose to.
Yeah, I think you can trust your husband, your spouse, whoever, as much as you can. But I think that there always has to be some sort of boundaries, And then like you get put in situations like that, and then something happens, trust is broken in some, form. And then you're like, oh my gosh, sometimes you have to understand, okay, maybe we shouldn't do that, because it's a possibility that maybe something can happen. I think sometimes people set themselves up for failure in certain situations. You got to protect your marriage, and not.
You can also ruin your relationship with your children too.
Yeah, exactly. But again, that's just my personal opinion. I'm not mad at anybody that does it differently.
You're right. That's why when they said it, it was kind of like that's that's different. There have been times when we went to go see my dad lived in, for those who don't know, my dad lived in North Carolina from, I think since I was in the 5th grade. He was up here, when they got married. When my mom got divorced, he moved away right when I went to the 5th grade. And there were a couple times my mom would drive us down, and like my stepdad couldn't get off for work, so he would stay home. But my mother would not be with us while we hung out with our father. It would be my sister hanging out with our dad, and my mom would stay at my grandmom's, who was about a state away, so like 2 hours away. So there really wasn't any commingleship. But I remember there was this one time, and this is what I'm talking about, like that temptation thing. People get all weird. My parents were divorced for like, it was at least like 13, 14 years. And my dad was in the hospital, so we all go down. My mom comes down with my sister, who wasn't 18 at the time. And we didn't actually go down together. And we get down there. I remember my oldest uncle, my dad's oldest brother, he sees my mom. He's like, "Oh, you was worried about Tracy, huh?" Mind you, my mom has been married. She's married now. They've been married for 16 years as of last weekend. They have been married. She is happy. She don't want for nothing when it comes to my what is it called? A bonus dad. She don't want for nothing. So talking about, oh, look at you, you worried about Tracy. I was like,
get out of here.
You go start, because people hold on to the view of you that
and what could have been.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, no, I forgot all about that. What happened?
Right. And she was like, okay, I'll come back to this. She stayed in the area, but she just kind of stayed away. She's like, I don't want anybody thinking anything extra. I came here to support my daughters. Obviously, I don't want the father of my children to pass away, but not having some type of super emotional reaction about him being sick. I'm not holding his hand on the bedside or anything like that. Like it wasn't. So she was definitely had successfully moved on, you know. So that's a different type of style. So
I wonder why they didn't make him sign an NDA.
I don't think they felt like he had to.
So that also makes me feel like this was like an intense emotional type of thing.
I mean, look at the way they're holding each other in the picture.
Yeah, it was real.
Intimacy there that I wouldn't want any the way Jada was holding him. Obviously, there's an age gap, right?
Yeah.
Some people were saying it was more of a mother-daughter type, mother-son.
Yeah.
And
and people are calling her a predator. You know, I don't know how I feel about that.
I bet you if it was the other way around, it would have been okay. Like they wouldn't be calling Will like a pedophile or anything like that. I'm like, oh, go get you that young girl.
And that's why, for me, it seems more of a they might have fallen sleep in the bed at the same, together. They might have cuddled. They might have spooned. They might have had very intimate conversations about emotions. They might have cried together. They might have been at every significant event for a couple years with each other. And I think he definitely, some people do latch on to people. Mm-hmm. They latch on. And I think at that time she was talking about they got really close because he was trying to overcome some demons. And so trying to have that emotional connection with somebody, is beautiful. And I think they definitely, she held on to him. And I think he caught feelings. I don't think she was romantically invested as much as he was.
He was definitely.
I don't see that. I think she was just like, there's a young bird. He's next to me. He's cute. He's fun to be around.
Nice to look at.
Yeah.
It seems like for what Jada and Will are saying, because I've heard that my mom actually told me that they had a marriage like when I was a teenager. And I remember being like, oh. And then later they said it wasn't necessarily an open marriage. Like I think they actually did talk about it in this interview. They never said, no, we're not sleeping with other people. We just like to explore the realms of what it means to be married, meaning they like to have sex in public places. They like to, do exploratory things. But again, who wants to really say, I like to have side jobs.
It's someone's business. Not seems, it just is super disrespectful.
Yeah.
People are like so up in arms about it, saying, oh, well, this is why, you can't be getting advice from Jada. I still think that she's incredibly wise. I enjoy her Red Table Talks. I've always enjoyed Jada. But for the people who are like so hurt about it, I feel like you got to be careful who you idolize too, because, these celebrities, they're not perfect, they go through things and we put them on pedestals for so many things. And, we shouldn't do that. The moment that we find out that they're human, we're all up in arms about it. And it's like, no, they're regular people just like us too.
Yes, that's a good segue because it makes me think about cancel culture. Yeah. So what do you guys think about that?
Cancel culture.
I understand it. I get it. Sometimes I feel like with artists, I feel like sometimes you should be able to separate the art from the person. Sometimes I do. But I do understand why we cancel certain people. Why we don't want to support people.
Yeah, I understand the cancel culture, but then sometimes I don't, because who we all were 5 years ago, 10 years ago is not the same people that we were today.
That's very true.
And it doesn't, whether you're Christian, whether you're Muslim, whether you're Jewish, there is forgiveness in every religion. And I understand that some things that people may have done were really cruel and really fucked up, but who's to say that they haven't grown, they haven't learned, and
Yeah.
the decisions they made years ago, they're like, damn, that was fucked up. I realize that, and I hope that you can see the work that I'm doing. Because recently, because I watched YouTube, a lot of YouTube, too much for my own good sometimes, when I'm going to bed at night. I don't watch some of these people, but sometimes it pops up like on the news feed, like, oh, so-and-so like spilled the tea. So I saw, because we were talking about Jada and Will, there was an article that came out that Jaden was pissed at this YouTuber called Shane Dawson. I want to say his name is. Yeah, because I think like 10 years ago, there was a video that surfaced where he looked like he was masturbating to a young photo of Willow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I saw it, it was disturbing, 100%. And then I started noticing other things coming up that Shane Dawson did, like blackface. He did a few skits, one pertaining to, I think it was like a challenge game that he did with 2 other YouTubers. They try to roast people that were impossible to roast, and they picked a name out of a hat, and one of those names were Trayvon Martin. It just
yeah, it was disgusting.
Yeah, seemed super, like, why? Like, why would you put that out there? Like, it's not funny. It's not.
Nobody's death is hilarious. Nobody's death is funny. Nobody's death is something. I don't care who it is. I don't care who they. I don't. A serial killer getting in the electric chair doesn't make me excited. It doesn't set up fantasy.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It shouldn't be. That is life. It is precious. It is. You can't get it back.
Yep.
Nobody can get it back. And I mean, depending on obviously the religious beliefs of what you believe in, reincarnation or something like that. Life is precious, and you can't to make fun of something like that. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. He doesn't have to be black as anybody. I'm not making fun of anybody dying.
Yep.
Especially the way he died. It's murdered. Especially the way he was murdered. I'm not.
How
he was 100% murdered because he was a young black male. 100%.
How long ago was it that Shane made the video?
Oh, that video, it was him and 2 other YouTubers. I want to say it was like 5-6 years ago. And then they took it down because they were getting shit for it. But in hindsight, you should really think before you speak. Or even now, like, we're creating this podcast, we're creating content for people to watch us. Like, I know sometimes some people, they have to write down things before they speak. And like, you knowingly edited that video. You watched everything. You didn't sit there and think, wait a minute, this looks bad.
Yeah.
Let me not post this to the world to see that I'm an asshole. And then you try to retract and state that it's because I have depression. I was molested when I was a kid. Like,
oh my God.
Yeah, I entertained it for a few minutes because I watched his apology video because I wanted to see what the fuck he had to say. And in a nutshell, he was like, I was depressed at the time. I had a lot of shit going on. Don't we all? But I'm not out here doing the most just to get money for monetization and things like that on the internet.
I feel like some people always go that route when they have an apology video out. It's always some excuse for, what they did, who they were back then, which, I mean, I get it, I'm sure he's not the same person he was 6 years ago, but just apologize and say you were wrong, that just flat out and say you were wrong for what you did.
Like, to give those excuses.
Yeah, people feel sorry for you.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like you're taking ownership and you're just trying to make excuses for the situation because you got caught.
Yeah.
Please out, I fucked up. I'm sorry. That's it.
Because what kills me is that they don't really make these apology videos until everyone finds out about something. So is your apology sincere, or are you apologizing because now it's for the world to see, So that always makes me, raise an eyebrow a little, certain things. I always want to believe that people I always give people benefit of the doubt, and I want to believe the good in everyone. But sometimes I'm just like, y'all are sick. Y'all are sick.
I don't understand certain. You're never gonna catch me making some fun of somebody in the way that they passed away.
Yeah.
Like, I just some stuff is just never gonna come out of my mouth to even to not to say that I've never had to apologize for anything, because damn sure the Lord has blessed me to evolve and to grow in my 27 years. But I some stuff I'm just never gonna say. So to fix your mouth in public or in private to make fun of somebody who was murdered, it's just disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting.
If I'm done with you, I'm done. Like, I can cut you off like that. Like, I don't gotta hear from you. It's not gonna bother me one way or another. Like, I don't give a shit. Because, not that to say that you've done me wrong, but like we've talked about it before. There was an instance where I had a friend who was posting stuff that was really out of pocket, and I simply said, you need to really educate yourself, because the things that you're posting are really hurtful. And the way that it seems is like anytime something happens, like culture-wise, like you just say something for the culture because you want a rise out of people. Like, I don't need people like that in my life. I want to have people in my life that are peaceful, like, especially if you have drama consistently in your life. Like, that's soul sucking. Like, to hear someone with we all have our problems. It's called life. But for you, like, if I hit you up and immediately it's like a sob story every single time, I can't do it.
Yeah.
So.
No, I'm with that. So cancel culture for me seems like a millennial term, like avocado toast. I'm not like, oh, we need to absolutely cancel somebody. Like, every time somebody does something, like, oh,
yeah.
I'm not like cancel. For me, cancel is when you cancel something in a video game. It's, you're done.
Mm-hmm.
And to completely reject somebody is also very harsh. It's very harsh, and it can be very hurtful to people. I might be being contradicted right
now. A little bit. We also think about people's mental health, but I don't know. It's like catch-22. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah. Green. All right, Charlie, what advice, financial tips do we have for the folks?
First, most basic financial tip I would say, which we talked about before, is having a bank account. A lot of people don't have a bank account. I really think that's something that's really important. Whether if you want to build credit, you want to buy a home, you want to buy a car, having that relationship with any bank sometimes can help you. Whether, I know with my financial institution that I work for, if you have that relationship, it takes, it holds more power because you have that existing relationship. So you can sometimes get a relationship discount on like personal loans, on personal line of credits, and things like that. So just get a bank account. There's a lot of people that are our age that are almost 30 years old that don't have a fucking bank account. Like, what are we doing with ourselves? Mm-hmm. Like, why?
Yeah.
Keep your money under your mattress? Like, come on. We got to do better.
Shoebox.
Yeah, no. Get a bank account. Like, let's get it together. You got that stimulus check. You got that economic impact payment card. Put that money to good use and put it in an account. Save some of that money. You have some debt. Pay that debt off.
Can you elaborate on the impact payment card? Because that's a term I didn't even hear about until you mentioned it a couple weeks ago.
So initially, what was rolling out when you were getting your stimulus money, it was in a form of a check, or if you filed your taxes, wherever you filed your taxes, whether it was with an accountant or do like some online service, and you had direct deposit, it was going to be directly deposited into your account. Mm-hmm. If you didn't do neither of those, and in some cases you may have, there is no rhyme or reason, some people got this economic impact payment card. What this card is, it honestly looks like it's fake, but it's not. It looks like a red, it's blue and white, and it has stars on it, so it's like a partial of the American flag. So they put money onto this card so you can use it to just like a little debit card. You can use it to buy groceries. You can withdraw money at the ATM, or if you just want your cash, you can transfer the full amount from that card directly into your account. So I believe it's called eipcard.com, and it gives you more info if you do have that card on what to do. So first and foremost, you have to call the number that you received on that letter. You have to activate the card, set a PIN number, and then you can start using that card. So I had to research myself because I had no idea that this card was even rolling out. People were coming to the banks like, hey, how can I get my money? I'm like, what the hell do you have in your hand? That shit looks fake. So I was like, oh, this is new. That's the basic. I mean, like, my job is to help you. It sounds corny as hell, but to succeed financially. Like, there's a lot of tips and tricks. Like, me coming from being first-born generation here in America, like, my mom is from Honduras, my dad's from India. When they came here to America, like, no one taught them how to build credit. No one taught them things like this. So I took it upon myself. Like, I saw my parents struggle, and not to say that they didn't give me a great upbringing and a great life at all, but I just didn't want to go through the same struggles that they went through. So I took the time to educate myself and say, hey, this is how I build credit. This is how I'm going to save money. So there's a lot of tips and tricks that I can help you guys with when we start rolling out more things. I'm sure that we'll start posting things, and I can provide links and not even like a blog, but just like little insert clips or inserts of what you really can do to even boost your credit. There's a lot of things. If you have bad credit, there's a lot of things that you can do to rebuild that. There's, for example, the most basic one is to apply for a secured card. What a secured card does, it's a secured line of credit, meaning you put your own money down on a credit card. So it could be, for example, $300. You take $300 of your own money, put it into the card, and what I like telling my clients is set up your cell phone bill as an automatic payment on that card, just so you can show that you're able to borrow from that card and pay that back monthly, and you're not carrying a high balance. So small things like that can help you boost up your credit. And even having a bank account can also boost up your credit too. Whether if you're not overdrafting your account, that can help. So number one tip, get a bank account.
Get a bank account. All right. All right, Kia, are we ready for our jewels for the crown? What jewels do you have for the peoples these weeks? What jewels do you have for the people this week?
Well, like we were discussing last time, I think what I really just want everyone to do during these times is to find room for joy and for peace. I know with the pandemic going on and, you know, everything that's going on within the Black community, you know, the tragedy that's taking place, you know, I think a lot of us are feeling a variety of emotions right now, you know, sadness, fear, you know, worry, disappointment, discouragement. And I just think that it's important for all of us to still find room for joy. You know, the word of God says that a joyful heart is good medicine. And I believe that we can all use some good medicine right now.
Amen.
And that's really just all that I want to say. I think that it's good to go out, still go out with friends, you know, where you can go out, you know, play games, you know, get together with friends, you know. And though it is still important to remain vigilant, you know, remain educated, you know, abide by all the pandemic guidelines, you know, all those things, I still think that it's important to carve out some time for some joy and for some peace. So if that's anything that I can say and encourage anyone, it would be that.
Amen.
So that is my jewel for the week.
Find joy, people. Find joy in the everyday things. Find joy. Stay positive. Check on your loved ones. Check on your strong friends, guys. Please.
Yes.
Do a Zoom call, what we're doing right now. Check up on each other. Check up on your coworkers too. Some of them you might not like, but hey, just ask them. You all right?
Yeah, because everyone's going through something right now, you know. You have to just
check on your neighbors too,
yeah,
man.
yeah, you know, everyone's going through something right now, and we're all feeling it in different ways, you know.
Absolutely.
So it's just, I believe that it's really important to still find time for joy. And what I feel like is annoying me a little bit is that, like, if someone posts a picture of them like at the beach, or, you know, that's not related to what's going on, people automatically think that you're not for the cause. And like, no, that's not necessarily true. I'm just still living my life the best that I know how. So every day I'm not feeling depressed and stressed and, you know, anxiety. You know, you still have to do those things. I'm actually reading a book right now called Emotional Intelligence. The author is, Daniel Goleman. And it's really good. I'm only a couple pages in, but he's hitting it already. Like, just having control of your emotions, you know, things that you can do to be at a sense of peace, you know. And again, I just think that that's very important right now for all of us.
Yeah.
Please, like, sometimes I really do have to like get in a corner and pray and ask God to correct my attitude. You know, I have to do that sometimes. That works for me, you know, because sometimes you have to check yourself.
I gotta do it today. It's beginning of the month. Everyone's coming out trying to get that money.
I completely agree, and thank you for that, Marquita. That was beautiful. It's an absolute necessity. Find what makes you happy. During this pandemic, I have done a lot. Me with free time, I have to fill it. Otherwise, the monsters that are in my head start to go a little crazy. So, first month, I painted my deck. I redid my kitchen. I can't wait to share with you guys the photos so you guys can see the transformation from what I was able to do. I redid my guest room. Still not done.
We all picked up a hobby during Corona.
Well, I kind of just watched my husband pick up hobbies, and I just you need to paint.
I'm here with my hammy ham, ready to do work.
You need to go, here we go, honey. It was fun though, but yeah, everyone pretty much picked up something, pretty much.
Yeah.
I think for me, what I'm really learning is to make time for things that make me happy. And what I've always enjoyed doing is writing and reading, something that I want to get back to. Journaling, you know, and again, the book I'm reading, Emotional Intelligence, just, I need those things to keep me going and to keep me, you know, happy. You know, those things, you know.
You're just so weird.
Well, I realized I like landscaping.
See?
And
I need my avocados, by the way.
Listen, I'm gonna get an avocado tree. I'm ordering a lemon tree, but I've been planting all these veggies and fruits, landscape this my entire house. Like, I actually really like this. Is really, because I thought this was like an old lady thing. Like, gardening makes you like such at ease and like peaceful, like one with nature. I sound like a hippie, but this shit's real.
Yeah.
I can stress free when I'm done.
It's crazy how we take advantage of time, though. You know, now we have all this time. You can either sit at home and not know what to do, which is fine because some people may not know what they want to do. But now, like, all these gifts and people's purposes are like coming out. You know, I just think that it's beautiful that people are finding, you know, their passions and that time that they need to themselves. I mean, I was just telling Dom the other day, you know, that people really don't know how to sit with themselves. You know, they don't know how to just sit there and really think about what it is that makes them happy and things that they need to do for themselves. And I feel like a lot of people are doing it now. I think that's great to see.
So I think this pandemic also sometimes I think is a blessing in disguise because it made us realize, let's take a step back. Let me reassess my life.
Yeah.
Personally, I used to be really creative back in the day. I felt like I lost it once I started going into the finance field. And now during this pandemic, I'm a landscaper now. I like interior designing.
Yeah.
I started drawing again. I used to draw all the time. I started that up. So I feel like there's a lot of good that came out of the pandemic. So
yeah, definitely.
And I hope that whoever's watching, like, you can hear our stories and think, what I've been wanting to do, I'm going to start it. Like that little project you keep putting in the back burner, start it. Like it's now or never.
Yeah.
It could be start off by something small, but do something that makes you happy. Like
yeah, definitely.
We only got one life to live. Let's live it up.
But even some people, you know, they're always on the go and they're always so busy and doing things. Some people needed this pandemic to just rest.
Yeah.
To just
compress
and rest.
Yeah.
And that's fine too, you know.
Ain't nothing wrong with a couch potato, because I've done that shit plenty of times during this corona season and drank a little bit.
Yeah, so it's nothing wrong with just resting, you know, getting your thoughts together, thinking about what the next move is going to be. But at some point, you do have to take action.
And hey, if you put on some quarantine pounds, don't feel bad about it. You're still beautiful. It's fine. You got a little extra jiggle. We all put on some pounds. It's all right. Don't feel bad about it. We'll put in that work. I put on a few lbs. I'm going to admit it. I'm put in that work. What my friend says, it ain't about the setback. It's about the comeback. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
Weight except Marquita, who dropped 30 pounds. Everybody clap it up. Hey.
Sucks.
Ooh, and I'm mad at all of y'all because none of y'all told me I was big.
You weren't big.
You weren't big. Come on.
You just comfy.
Oh, comfy. Big from in what I felt like. I felt like I was big from my body.
Like when I got married, I was around like 150. And I gained 20 pounds in like 1 year because I was just eating like a lot. The year before my marriage, I don't know what happened to me. Most people try to lose weight. I was like, oh, I'm trying to get thick. Not on purpose, but I put on 20 pounds in 1 year. And then ever since then, it's been just a little bit off for me. But that, yeah. I don't know who makes these things up, but, you know, but I think, you know, we have to make sure whatever we feel comfortable with, like, you know, you've always had curves. You've always had, you know, a good shape. For me, I always had chestises. I ain't really I had fake thighs. So it looked like I had thighs. They used to, my girlfriend Yana, shout out to Untouchable Yan, she used to tell me I looked like I had a butt from front. I always had like thighs or like hips. I always had hips. So, but then when you get behind, it was kind of like, oh, like, it just, you know,
why you gotta do that?
So I was, but at whatever fit. So the most comfortable I felt in dresses and stuff was around 140 because I'm tall. My family, most of the time, my sister's slender. My mom has been a size 4 to 6 her entire life, you know. So I feel a little bit more comfortable on the, you know, lower, you know, 140s. You know, that's where I was, you know, that's where I was always at. I was always the tiny girl. Somebody called me a string bean, when somebody string bean. So, and I was fine with it because I always had my boobs. I love my boobs. My boobs were always right there. So I was happy, and I always had fake hips. So I was with it. But, you know.
Yeah, you gotta do what's best for your body, you know. And it annoys me. I keep talking about stuff that annoys me. like after women, you know, have a baby, why is it always about the snapback? Like, what if that's not always realistic for every woman? Like, your body, sometimes your body just doesn't go back that fast.
Like some people don't have trainers or.
Yeah. Not saying that it can't be done, but I think that we put so much pressure on ourselves after we have children to look a certain way, you know. We got to get back. You got to get back. And like, not everyone thinks that way, you know. I know I didn't, you know. But once I started seeing myself, I was like, okay, it's time for me to make some changes.
I think the realest thing Cardi did, I'm not like a super Cardi B fan, but the realest thing she did.
I'm bugging my face.
was when she put a bikini on and then she let the stomach.
Yeah.
Because to me, to have that flat, you gotta eat toast. You can't have no. And life is meant to be enjoyed. You know, if I want fried chicken, I want fried chicken. Now, should I have fried chicken and a cheesesteak? No. If I want fried chicken and I want fried chicken, and I don't want anybody telling me I can't have fried chicken. So
it's okay if you want both, but just don't make sure you do it every day.
Right, yeah, in moderation.
So I think, you know, while it's great, you know, my mom always told me you're not fat until your stomach gets over your boobs. You can't see your boobs, or your stomach is bigger than your boobs. So if you look down and your boobs are sticking out further than your stomach, then you're still pretty good.
But what if you got little itty bitties? Then what?
There's exceptions to every rule.
Every rule. Amen to that.
There's exceptions to every rule.
Listen, I like being athletic. I like being active. I'm thankful God did not bless me with some big boobs because I would not feel comfortable. Bless you too, because I couldn't do it.
I can't do it myself.
Marquitas are out this world. Mine are. I want to thank you, Chandani, for our beautiful message about financial tips. Step one for the folks is to open a bank account, and Marquita reminding us that it is extremely important for us to make sure that we are finding joy, especially during these hard times. You know, check on your friends, check on yourself. You know, the main thing I thought about this last couple of days was how nice were you to you? You know, everybody's not going to be nice to you every day. Somebody's going to have a mood and they might not have anything to do with you. How nice were you to you? Did you wake up this morning and say, I love you? Did you wake up tomorrow, you know, think about how amazing you are and the impact you're making on your own world or the world you're in? You know, how great of a parent you are, how great of a spouse or partner or, you know, a boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever you are to your significant other. Be nice to you. And if you didn't do nothing today, that's great because you're still here. That's, you know, you're still here, you're still around, you're still loved, you're still supported.
Yep. We woke up. It's going to be a good day.
Amen. Amen. We want to thank you for joining us. Our first episode, ladies, we did it. We did it. Congratulations to us. Please join us every 2 weeks. We hope to get more guests on talking about child rearing, talking about forgiveness from a spiritual aspect, talking about relationships. Two of us are married, two of us is in a very long-term relationship. All beautiful, all blessed, all highly favored, and we love you. And if you have any questions, suggestions, please let us know in the comments.
Please let us want us to play games. Tell us what games you want us to play.
Absolutely. Hopefully we can join together and do this, you know, live as we grow, as we, you know, keep this thing going. But I want to say good day to you guys. Have a blessed day. And we are My Sister's Crown. Bye.
Bye.